The challenges facing our teens today mean that more than ever, we need to be there to support them and encourage them. The Dr.Stem Show is here to provide discussions about topics that will help promote healthy relationships, self-image, and success for teens, parents, and the community. Our young people can achieve more in life than they ever dreamed possible. The Dr.Stem Show, hosted by Dr. Stem Malatini, will foster these discussions and encourage your participation.
Many of you that are watching the Dr. Stem Show today are most likely immigrants from another country, or you have a relative that has immigrated to the United States from another country. We come here to the United States to seek opportunity, to seek an education, and to enhance our lives. As most of you know, I'm originally from Zimbabwe in Africa, and I've been here for 29 years. During these 29 years, I've gone through a lot, and today we're going to share with you some of those experiences that I have gone through and what I have done to be where I am today. My guest today comes from the Sunshine State of Florida, Orlando, Florida. I have been in love with Orlando, Florida for as long as I know. But I lived in Florida for 16 years, and my heart, my soul, my everything is in Florida. I love Massachusetts, but if I were to retire today or tomorrow, I will be, and I'm telling you, I will be in Florida, in the Sunshine State. So today we're going to talk about that experience and how you can also dream big and be able to adjust to the lifestyle in the United States. My guest, as I said, is coming from Orlando, Florida today. Welcome to the show, Saru.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stem. I'm so excited to be here. And I just can't imagine, to be any other place except here. I'm so honored to be a part of this great experience.
And you know what's so good about this is Saru used to see me making vision boards. Remember how I used to make vision boards? Yeah,
yes.
This is my best friend. She's my best friend. So she's known me and seen me when I was a nothing and a nobody and just dreaming and saying, you know what, I would love to have a talk show like Oprah.
Absolutely.
And I would love, so she calls herself Gail.
Yes, the Oprah and Gail thing that we always dreamed about, and it's amazing that it's here. God is so great.
God is so good, and to Him be the glory.
Yes,
to Him be the
absolutely.
glory. Because then, as we were coming to the show today, because she flew in last night to my house, and as we were flying, driving in, I said, I can't believe that I'm actually living my dream, and you're actually going to be on the show and see what it is that I've always talked about and said I want to do.
Yes.
And probably it's now 20 years later now that this is happening.
Yes.
Yes.
But you know what the mind can conceive, it can be achieved.
Yes.
You just have to dream big, and you have to envision that dream, and you have to put yourself in that moment and live it every day. Write it down on the mirror, put posters everywhere of who you want to become.
Yeah.
It can be done. With God's help, anything is possible.
So you're amazing. You're amazing, because I've watched you grow as much as you've watched me grow. But before we even get into that, I think, you know what, tell the audience who you are so that they can get a little bit of, experience of who you are.
Okay, thank you so much. I am Saru Walsh, and actually my maiden name is Furusa. So I do have family members that still share that last name. I live in Orlando, Florida, and if you didn't know, I did live here in Massachusetts, in Lowell. This is where it all began. It was New York for a year, and then I transitioned into Massachusetts, and boy, the journey began then. And it was such a great experience, and I'm so humbled. It's called humble beginnings, right? Where you just, start to emerge as a young woman, and you're in a foreign country, and you don't know where you are or what you're going to become, but you have a dream in your heart that God has put in here. And what God has put in your heart, let me tell you, it will stare and it will stare and it will bother you, and you will have to recognize.
Yeah.
You have to recognize that, you know what, whatever it is that I'm going to do now, it's okay. I can stay in the shadows, but when my time is there, when God's time is ripe, I can emerge and become something else even bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm just so excited to be here and, to share the journey that brought us here today. I can't even believe we are here today because we just used to talk about it, remember?
I know, but then when you say great, I know, we say, what, it was a great journey. It was a painful, great journey.
Yes, there's some pockets of painful moments there, but, we were fearless.
Yeah.
I think at some point in life we're all afraid, but it's okay to be afraid as long as that, fear doesn't outweigh your courage.
Yeah.
You have to have that courage always.
Yeah. So I think one of the memories that I have, because then I'm meeting now as I do as a speaker, when I go to do motivational speaking, I see a lot of people that say to me, they having a hard time adjusting to the life in America. And I know when I worked in the nursing home, and I was also working with you in the group home. Were you in the nursing home too?
I did.
Okay.
I did the nursing home thing, but I didn't, for some reason, it just wasn't for me because I thought I wanted to become a nurse, as you know, but it just wasn't something that I wanted to pursue to become a nurse. So we ended up in the group home together, which was a great experience. We learned sign language. Who would have thought?
I know we did, but oh my God. So I used to go to the nursing home and then I go to school. And then until 10 o'clock.
Yes.
So I'll do 7 to 3 in the nursing home. And then I'd go from, 4 o'clock to about 8, 9 at night to school.
Yes.
And then when I finished, I passed through your house, relax for a minute. And she was so good because then you would cook for me and leave a bubble bath and say, oh, my best friend is coming. And you put a bubble bath so that I can relax and then go to the 11 to 7 at the group home.
Isn't that amazing? We never forgot the pampering. The pampering, because you need that after a long day, because even with myself, I went to school, I went to work, and, when you come home, you're so tired, and just being the two people that, shared the same dream, we wanted to be there for each other so much that little help, that little extra help of finding food cooked or a little bubble bath and just that relaxation made you look forward to the next day.
And I mentioned that because it's so important, because once we come here to the United States, most people don't have relatives like we used to, at home.
Right.
But it's so important to find a friend, to find someone, whether you're from the same country. Ours was a blessing because we're from the same country.
Right.
But you can find even somebody else, but to have a friend that you can talk about the dreams, that will be able to cook that food when when you're busy doing the 2 jobs and the 3 jobs, but that can, live the dream with you. Because I remember we used to go, one of these days, one of these days it's going to be better,
And you know what? With that in mind, it got better every day. It wasn't easy because I remember just being in New York when I came, and it was muggy and hot, and then the winter came. It was a real shock. So I can understand how that transition can actually be devastating to most people, because you're just thinking, I'm in a foreign land, it's cold, I don't have warm clothes, I don't have anybody to talk to. But you know what? There's so many people out there that are willing to share and dream with you. You just have to find that person.
Yeah, I remember when I came, my mother said, you know what, you're going to a foreign country, go to church and find someone in church. You will find a lady or, younger people in there, but you always find a friend in the church. And she was right.
She was very right, because my parents told me the same thing, go find a church. And even today, it's still the same encouragement. Are you going to church? And it's like, yeah, Mom, I have a church that I'm going to.
Yes.
Where is the church? It's right around the corner. Would you like me to take you there, just so she knows? And just the prayer, growing up and having to, to have parents that embraced, prayer was the best thing that worked for me. I think for you too.
Yes. You know what? With that, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Today, we're talking about adjusting in the United States as an immigrant.
As a youth motivational speaker, author, and coach, Dr. Stem understands that in a world where today's youth and parents are jaded and disappointed by institutions and people they perceive as out of touch with the reality of their lives, motivation is a dose that is much needed. It's time to excel. Dr. Stem Malatini is a refreshing change from the typical speaker. Dr. Stem understands the pressures, heartaches, temptations, hopes, and dreams of the generation that is just now coming of age. Students listen in transfixed silence as she speaks with the clarity and confidence of someone who has worked with teens, parents, and teachers for over 20 years. Her high-energy school assembly programs create a defining moment for schools and provide an experience students never forget. To reserve your seat in one of her coaching sessions, purchase her books, or to book her services, email her at drstemmalatini@gmail.com or go to her website at www.drstem.org.
Before the break, we were talking about going to church as a way of connecting yourself to other people when you come to the United States, because it's not a lonely journey, per se, when you do that, because then you find someone else who's most likely an immigrant from another country, or
Right.
someone who's been here that will be receptive and embracing you.
Absolutely. And you find that most of these churches, they're going outside of the United States,
Yes.
to do missionary work.
You're right.
So they're actually familiar with what's going on. So it's not like, they don't know that they're immigrants. And, and a lot of these churches are helping the immigrants themselves. So it's a great place to start.
Yes.
Go find a church, and sometimes you have to go to different ones until you find one that you can call home.
Yes, yes. Let's talk about adjusting to the kind of work that we do when we're here. Both of us, our fathers owned businesses, the little store in the corner, that's a big business.
Yes.
But there's a little store in the corner that they owned. So we were actually looked at as, people that were middle class. So we had a little bit more money by the time that our fathers had. But then you come to America. What happens?
It's not there.
Yes.
It's all gone.
Yes.
You have to just adjust to that lifestyle. You have to pray about it. You have to be strong. You have to find the courage. But most of all, you have to have the faith in God to know that He will lead you in every single area of your life. He's going to be there. No matter what you do, He's going to help you get through what you need to get through.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because when I came and by the time that I found a job in the nursing home, I looked at it and I said, you have to do what you have to do. You cannot look back and say, well, because my parents were in the business and we were now doing better, why am I going
Right.
back to that poverty? Because in order to adjust in this country, you really have to do the work that is dirty work, we call it. In
Yes.
order to get what you need to do, because what I did was, remember I was telling you when we went into the nursing home and I got there and asked the people, how long have you been here? And
Right.
everyone was saying 15 years, 20 years. And I looked at them and said, shoot me if I'm here for 20 years without
Right.
it. Remember I used to say that.
Right, because
Like, no.
but and like you said, you come here and you're thinking about the life you left at home, and it was much easier.
Oh, yeah.
It was there. You never went hungry, and then suddenly you are somewhere else where you know nobody. It's tough. It's really tough. But you know what? I learned quickly and adjusted quickly, and I forgot about Dead's store, Dead's bakery, and all that stuff.
Yes.
Because I knew I was somewhere where I needed to make a life of my own, and thinking about, what I left behind was not going to help me get to level B or level Z,
Yeah.
where I wanted to go.
You're right. You're
Yes.
right. And one of the things that I want to emphasize to people is to having that open mind.
Yes.
That you are in the land of opportunity. It doesn't get better than being here in the United States. What does that mean? That means you literally have to have a goal of where you're going.
Yes.
As I said, I wasn't trying to be conceited or anything when I said, oh, shoot me, if you see me staying here for 20 years. But what I was saying was, no, I'm going somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I want this to be a stepping stone of working in the nursing home. And some people actually work in the nursing home, and that's their lifestyle. That's what they want to do, and it's okay.
It's okay, absolutely.
It's okay. There's nothing wrong with being in the nursing home and you are the nursing assistant for the 30 years, 40 years, and you're happy with it. But for me, I knew that I was more than that. I wanted more. It just wasn't. So what is it that you want? So I say that so that I can tell you a little bit about Saru, because she's one that was, I mean, in the group home, she comes dressed up like this here, makeup and everything, and we're working in the group home, and she says, I'm going to make sure that I beautify other women and show them all this beauty and everything. So I know we're going to talk more about that in the second segment when you come back.
Yes, yes. It was just, growing up looking at my mom, she was always the dress, she's all dressy and she looks good. And so, it's something that was instilled, in me already. And I had that. So I just wanted to carry on from where my mother left. And just continue that. And it was love for myself as well and love for other women. And in life, you have to know your why. Yeah. If you don't know your why, where are you going to go from there? Yes. You have to know your why. Why am I here? What is my purpose? Yeah. Where am I going? Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when they came here, it was trying to, for most, to get a better education than being in Africa or in Europe or whatever country they came from. But then once we came here, it's almost like that adjustment to say, okay, now I have food on my table. Because the money was difficult and it's hard to get food on the table. But once you get the food on the table, what next is the question.
Right.
And why did I come to the United States? To get food on my table, yes. But then how do I make myself happy doing the work that I'm doing now? Right. And that's the biggest challenge.
It is a big challenge. Yeah. And, like I said, knowing your why is the, stepping stone. Yes. Once you know your why, you have to write it down actually, because it has to make sense to you. Yes. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else, but it has to make sense to you. So my why was, okay, I need a better life. Yeah. I know me, I'm Miss Fufu. So I wanted the Fufu life, So I had to do whatever it takes to get to that life where I'm comfortable and, and I can enjoy myself, but also I can, share with others, and share in the joy. So I found that peace within myself, love myself enough to say, you know what, I can do this. Because, God did not create a nobody. He didn't. He created a somebody. So we are all a somebody, and we're all going somewhere, and you have to know that in your heart. It's not about pleasing, everybody. It's about doing what's right for you. Yeah. And sometimes we're too busy, caught up in trying to please, everybody. What is everybody going to think if I don't do that? No, stop. Think of you. Think of your why. Yeah. Think of where you want to be in the next 5 years, 10 years, and write those goals down and dream, but dream often and dream big.
Yeah. I think the other thing that a lot of people go through is our values and our culture, the way that we were taught to think and do things. And you come in this country, there are quite, some differences in the way that we do things back home, because you literally have to be fearless, like you said.
Yes.
To get out of the box and do things that you never thought yourself that you would be working in a nursing home, that you would be working in a group home, that you would be sweeping the floor in an office somewhere. And, some of the odd jobs, you worked in hotels too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. That was, it was, the funny thing is when I came here, remember I wanted to do like cosmetology and I went into modeling but I realized that, and people when they see models, they think, oh God, that's such glamorous life. Yeah, in some sense it is, but it's so demanding, I didn't want to weigh 102 pounds for the rest of my life, and so I found a passion elsewhere and I directed my passion into hotels. So I went to do, and you remember when we were looking for a college to go to, so I could go do hotel restaurant management. Yes. And you encouraged me and you said, you would be so good at it. You're so outgoing and everything.
And you cook all the time.
Yes, and I cook all the time. And then being in Florida, you used to just come sit and watch me work. You remember that?
I remember.
And you used to say, there is no way I could walk in those, all day. You remember what those were?
Your heels are like this.
My 6-inch heels. Yes, I did.
Like this
I did. But it's like it wasn't easy penetrating into that industry because back then it was also a men's industry. I look at some restaurants now that have more male managers than female. And it's like you have to You have to diversify.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
have everybody there.
You're right. I'm enjoying our talk, but we're going to take a quick break. We will continue talking about adjusting in the United States and some of the steps that we have taken to adjust in the United States. We'll be right back. I know this is, break time. We were talking more about getting into the industry.
Yes.
The hotel management industry.
Yes.
You can continue on that one.
So then I moved to Florida,
Yeah.
and to start over, I had to go into a nursing home to get a job and to start working to get my my feet wet. But then meanwhile, I knew what I wanted to pursue because I had been going to school for hotel restaurant management. I wanted to find another school there to finish off, but I went to every restaurant, every hotel. You know how many no's I got from just people going, well, you only have education, but you don't have experience. They were actually looking for an experience. But those no's did not stop me. A lot of us are so afraid
Yes.
of hearing the word no.
Yeah.
I learned how to embrace it and say it's okay, because I'm not going to stop and I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I went into a Sheraton hotel in Maitland and I went into human resources department, and there was this nice lady, just petite like me. And I walked in and I smiled, and it wasn't my experience, it wasn't my education, it was nothing. It was my personality and my smile that won me over. And I got the job.
Yes.
And no other. I didn't get a management job. So don't be afraid to start at the bottom. As you can remember, I was in a Pizza Hut, remember? And I started there. But, I got really blessed with the people that were in there. They saw my potential. Because sometimes you go into an area where you cannot rise above your potential. And they saw my needs, and one of my good friends now, Marty, you remember Marty?
Yeah.
She saw me in there. She says, there's no way we could keep you in a Pizza Hut hidden. You've got to be our hostess. And from there, the general manager met me, gave me my first break, and he says, we've got to train you and become a manager.
Yes.
And that's how I got in.
Yes.
But if I had given up, I wouldn't be here today talking about it.
And I remember you see, this is beautiful, because for every part, when you were even starting at that Pizza Hut, I remember I was in school.
Yes.
And at that time I couldn't work. I had just moved to Florida too, and I couldn't work. And I remember you bringing those pizzas, and they saved our lives.
Yes.
Because then I didn't have food, so then you'd pass by my little place and you say, oh, I've got pizza. And the tips that you got.
Yes.
That's why today, I mean, it, I would tip the waitresses.
You have to.
With the 20-25% every time, because the tips that those generous people gave you, she would come home. Remember, you'd come home, you pass by, because we stayed together for a while, but then I found my own little place as well, so that I could be, independent. And you'd pass through my place, and then you'd count those dollars. If you get $20, here, $10.
Yes.
So that you could have some gas money.
Yes.
And what a blessing that was.
It was a blessing. And you know what? We had to. And I think part of it is because, we had so much respect for each other. Yeah. We had dreams. We loved each other, like sisters. And, and I think that's why our, relationship has survived over 25 years. If, anybody didn't know, we've known each other for that many years to where I could lean on your shoulder. I could cry on it. And there was no limit as to what I could come to you with. Yeah. And so that helped. And then we prayed together as well. So it was always there to where, if I'm hungry, we're going to go hungry together,
we
yes. We would cook and just sit and relax. And the days we don't work and we're home together. Sundays, especially if I was not working a Sunday, because with my industry, you have to work holidays, you have to work any other day that Sunday. So if a Sunday was open, we'd go to church, remember, come back. and cook some
then cook
salsa
some
and
salsa, yeah.
enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
You
And the
know?
reason why we are talking about this experience is to help you out there that have come to the United States and you think, how am I going to make it? Where am I going to start? I mean, there's a maze that you have to go through the experiences, but guess what? What you're hearing today, visions, dreams, where we came in and knew and never forgot that we came here for a reason to live a dream life, to pursue a dream life. And that meant that we're going to do every dirty work that's there, but we're not going to stay there forever.
Right.
We're going to move and do something that is better. And knowing that is what kept us day to day. People say, you know, how do you go to 2 jobs and then go to school when you have a dream that is
You
this
just do
big?
it, yes.
You go ahead and just do it. You don't have time to complain at all, because you know that with that hard work, someday you'll be sitting in a television station and doing a talk show, empowering and inspiring others and actually uplifting other people and say, you know what, if I could do it and if Saru could do it,
I can do it too.
you can do it too.
And again, Dr. Stem, it's, you know, finding your passion
Yes.
as well,
Yes.
knowing who you are,
Yes.
and just, you know, going after it.
Yeah.
And it's nerve-wracking to have somebody say no. But you know, sometimes when somebody say no, it's not like they're denying you. They're just saying, just not now.
Yes.
But you can revisit that, you know, later on,
Yes.
and they'll say yes. So it's just about, you know,
Yeah.
embracing that no. And, you know, and when you get those negative voices that say you can't do it, and, you know, nobody's going to look at you, you know, Mary Kay Ash always said, you know, when you hear those voices say, cancel, 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 you know, and you'll cancel it, you know, and you won't have to think about it, you know, and she always say, tell yourself, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And the fear that we're talking about, you know, it just paralyzes you.
Yes, it does.
It does, because even the people that were born and raised here, they still have the fear of moving forward or even leaving Orlando itself. I have met people that say, I've never left Orlando.
even
You
here.
came from where? You going where? And you travel and you do this. But it's that fear. You know, it's knowing that it's okay to be afraid, like I said earlier, but don't let it outweigh your courage, because God gave you that courage to go on.
And let me remind, you know, people as well that, you know what, the right people that you're supposed to meet, that are supposed to help you to get to where you're supposed to be, they will be there, and it's not going to be stressful. But sometimes I think people will ask someone for help and then they go, well, that person, I thought they were my friend and they never even got to help me. It's not even about that.
Yes.
If they are not the ones that are destined to help you with your vision and your mission, they will not be able to do it, even if they wanted to do it.
Right.
So just know that if you ask, move on to the next person and focus on somebody else helping you out, so that you're not wasting too much time getting resentful and
Yes.
hateful about that other person that didn't do it, because then, you know, that's another struggle that a lot of people go through.
Yes.
Yeah. And afraid to ask.
Afraid to ask.
Just ask.
Ask and you shall receive.
And you shall receive. I like that. I like that, because you know what? People pray and say, God, you know, I want help in this country. I want to be able to make it. And what he says, you know, my favorite quote, for I know the plans that I have for you.
Yes.
And we don't have enough faith.
That lacks a lot.
We don't have enough faith to believe that, you know what, we will be at the right place at the right time and things will happen, but we have to do our part.
Right, and it takes that time for you to know it, because sometimes we can have something in front of us and not even see it.
Yes.
You know, and not even see it, or not even see what God is trying to do in your own life. So, you know, it's taking those baby steps, and you know, and you know, reading your Bible, reading, you know, books that you know, can help you get to that place, or even finding a life coach like yourself.
Yeah.
You know, to transition.
Yeah, to transition, yes. So today we've been talking, you know what, thank you so much. I can see the time is just rolling down and everything, and we could talk forever. But today we've been talking about adjusting in the United States. For all of you that have been listening today, we've talked about a few points that I'll just, you know, quickly just go around. We talked about finding someone that you can trust, that you can talk to about your dreams, your wishes, some of the stresses that you're going through, so you don't walk this journey alone. So until next time, time, we will be talking about starting your own business and balancing your life between being a single mother and owning your own business.